Good morning, students. Today's topic is secularism. Secularism, what is secularism? This is the introduction of secularism. Though Jews faced discrimination for centuries throughout Europe in the present state of Israel, minorities, both Christian and Muslims, are excluded from social, political, and economic benefits available to Jewish citizens. Suitable forms of discriminations also continue to persist against non Christians in several parts of Europe. And the condition of religions, minorities in the neighboring states of Pakistan and Bangladesh has also generated considerable concern. Such example remind us of the continuing importance of secularism for people and societies in today's world. And the inter-religious domination in our own country, the constitution declares that every Indian citizen has a right to live with freedom and dignity in any part of the country. Yet, in reality, many forms of exclusion and discrimination continue to persist, and consider three most strict example. More than 2,706 were massacred in Delhi and many other parts of the country in 1984. The families of the victims feel that the guilty were not punished, and this time the several thousands of Hindu Kashmir Pandits have been forced to leave their home in the Kashmir Valley. They have not been able to return to their home for more than 2 decades, or more than 1,000 persons, mostly Muslims, were massacred during the post Godhra riots in Gujarat in 2002. And the serving members of many of these families could not go back to the village in which they lived. And what do these examples have in common? They all have to do with discrimination in one form or the other. In each case, members of one community are targeted and victimized on account of their religious identity. And in other words, basic freedoms of a set of citizens are denied. Some might even say that these in- incidents are instances of religious precious, and they reflect their religious domination. This is the intra religious domination. Some people are believe that religion is merely and the opium of the masses, and that one day, when the basic need of all are fulfilled and they lead a happy and content life, religion will disappear. Such a view comes from an exaggerated and sense of human potential. It is unlikely that human beings will ever be able to fully know the world and control it. We may be able to prolong our life, but will never become immortal. And disease can never be entirely eliminated, nor can we get rid of an element of accident and luck for our lives. Separation and loss are endemic to the human condition, while a large part of our suffering is man made and hence alienable. At least some of our suffering is not made by man. Religion, art, and philosophy are responses to such sufferings. Secularism too accepts this, and philosophy of therefore it is not anti-religious. And the however religion has share of some deep rooted problems. For example, one can hardly think of a religion that treats its male and female members on an equal footing. In religions such as Hinduism, some sections have faced persistent discrimination. For example, Dalits have been barred from entering Hindu temples. In some part of the country, Hindu women cannot enter temples. And when religion is organized, it is frequently taken over by its most conservative function, which does not tolerate any dissent. Religious fundamentalism in part of the US has become a big problem and endangers peace both within the country and outside. Many religious fragment into sets with lead to frequent skeleton violence and prescription of distinguishing minorities. And the we know process a general idea of secularism. It is a normative doctrine which seeks to realize a secular society, that is, one devoid of either interreligious or intra religious domination. Put positively, it promotes freedom within religious and equality between as well as within religious. And the within this large framework, now consider a narrow and more specific question, namely, what kind of state is necessary to realize these goals? In other words, how a state committed to the ideal of secularism should relate to religion and religious communities. And the now next is secular state. Secular state, perhaps one way of preventing religious discrimination is to work together for mutual alignment. Education is one way of helping to change the mindset of people. Individual examples of sharing and mutual help can also contribute toward reducing prejudice and suspension between committees. It is always inspiring to read stories of Hindus saving Muslims or Muslims saving Hindus in the midst of a deadly communal riot. But it is unlikely that mere education or the goodness of some persons will eliminate, eliminate religious discrimination. And in modern societies, states have enormous public power. How they function is bound to make a crucial difference to the outcome of any struggle to create a society less ridden with inter-community conflict and religious discrimination. In this society, for these reasons, we need to see what kind of a state is needed to present religious conflict and to promote religious harmony. This is the how should a state prevent domination by any religious group. For a start, a state must not be run by the heads of any particular reason. A state governed directly by a priestly order is called theocratic. Theocratic states, such as the papal states of Europe in medieval times or in recent times, the Taliban controlled state, lacking separation between religious and political institutions, are known for their hierarchies and operations and reluctance to allow freedom of religion to members of other religious groups. And these groups, if we value peace, freedom, and equality, religious institutions and state institutions must be separated. And some people think that the separation of state and religion is sufficient for the assistance of a secular state. This does not appear to be so. Many states which are non theocratic continue to have a close alliance with the particular reason. And some examples, for example, the state in England in the 16th century was not run by priestly class, but clearly favored the Anglican Church and its members. England had an established Anglican religion, which was the official religion of the state. Today, Pakistan has an official state religion, namely Sunni Islam. Such reg- regimes may leave little scope for internal dissent or religious equality. To be truly secular, a state must not only refuse to be theocratic but also have no formal legal alliance with any religion. The separation of religion state is, however, a necessary but not a sufficient ing- ingredient of a secular state. A secular state must be committed to principles and goals which are at least partly derived from non religious sources. And these ends should include peace, religious freedom, freedom from religiously grounded oppression, discrimination, and exclusion, as also interreligious and intra religious equality. These are the secular states' reasons. And to promote these ends, the state must be separated from organized religion and its institutions for the sake of some of these values. However, there is no reason to suggest that is separation should take a particular form. In fact, the nature and extent of separation may take different forms depending upon the specific values it is mean to promote and the way in which these values are spelt out. And we will now consider two such conceptions: the mainstream Western conception, best represented by the American state, and an alternative conception, best exemplified by the Indian state. And the next is to the Indian model of secularism. Indian model of secularism, sometime it is said the Indian secularism is an limitation of Western secularism. But a careful reading of our constitution shows that it is not the case. Indian secularism is fundamentally different from Western secularism. And these secularism, 118 political theory, Indian secularism does not focus only on church state separation, and the idea of interreligious equality is crucial to the Indian conception. And we see the what makes Indian secularism discrimination and distinct, distinctive. For a start, it arose in the context of deep religious diversity that predated the advent of Western modern ideas and nationalism. There was already culture of interreligious tolerance in India. However, we must not forget that tolerance is com- compatible with religious domination. In this, it may allow some space to everyone, but such freedom is usually limited. Besides, tolerance allows you to put up with people whom you find deeply repugnant. This is a great virtue. If a society is recovering from a major civil war, but not in times of space where people are struggle for equal dignity and respect. In the ad- advent of Western modernity brought to the fore hitherto neglected and marginalized notation of equality. And this equality in Indian thought, it sharpened these ideas and helped us to focus on equality within the community. It also a shared ideas of intercommunity equality to replace the notation of hierarchy. Hierarchy, thus, Indian secularism took on a distinct form as a result of an interaction between what already existed in a society that had religious diversity and the ideas that came from the West. And the West, it resulted in equal focus on intra religious and inter-religious domination. Indian secularism equally opposed the oppression of delight and women within Hinduism, discrimination against women within Indian Islam or Christianity, and the possible threats that a majority community might pose to the rights of the minority. religious communities. This is its first important difference from mainstream Western secularism and connected in the two. It is the second difference. Indian secularism deal not only with religious freedom, individuals, but also with religious freedom or minority communities within it. An individual has the right to profess the religion of his or her choice. Likewise, religious minorities also have a right to exist and to maintain their own culture and educational institution. And a third difference is this. Third difference is since a secular state must be concerned equally with intra religious domination. Indian secularism has made room for and is compatible with the idea of a state supported religious reform. And this reform, thus, the Indian constitution burns untouchability. The Indian state has enacted several laws abolishing child marriage and lifting the taboo on intercaste marriages and sectionist by Hindus. These all the question however that arise is, can a state initiate or even support religious reforms and yet be secular? Can a state claim to be secular and not maintain separation of religion from state? The secular character of the Indian state is established by virtue of the fact that it is neither theocratic nor has it established any one or multiple religious. And this religions beyond that it has adopted a very sophisticated policy in pursuit of religious equality. This allows it either to disengage with religion in American style or engage with it if required. And then the Indian state may engage with religion negatively to oppose religious tyranny. Tyranny, tyranny, this is reflected in such action as the ban on untouchability. It may also choose a positive mode of engagement. And this is the Indian engagement. Thus, the Indian Constitution grants all religious moralities, minorities the right to establish and maintain their own educational institutions, which may receive assistance from the state. All these complex strategies can be adopted by the state to promote the values of peace, freedom, and equality. These are the, it is, should be clear by now why the complexity of Indian secularism cannot be captured by the phrase equal respect for all religions. If by this phrase is meant peaceful coexistence of all religion or in interreligious tolerances, and then this will not be enough because secularism is much more than mere peaceful coexistence or tolerate, toleration. If this phrase means equal feeling, equal feeling of respect towards all established religions and their practices, then there is an ambiguity that need clearing. In this phrase, the tolerance of coexistence, the phrase of the Indian secularism allows for principled state intervention in all religions. Such intervention betrays disrespect to some aspects of every religion. For example, religiously, sectation caste hierarchies are not acceptable within Indian secularism. And the secularism state does not have to treat every aspect of every religion with equal respect. It allows equal disrespect for some aspects of organized religions. At the criticism of Indian secularism, Indian secularism has been subjected, and the subjected to foreign criticism. What are these criticisms? Can we define secularism from them? Anti-religious first. It is often argued that secularism is anti-religious. We hope to have shown that secularism is against institutionalized religious domination. This is not the same as being anti religious. And similarly, it has been argued by some that secularism threatens religious identity. However, we, as we noted earlier, secularism promotes religious freedom and equality. Hence, it clearly protects religious identity rather than threatens it. And this, of course, it does undermine, undermine some form of religious identity, those which are dogmatic, violent, fanatical, exclusivist, and those which foster hatred of other religion. The real question is not whether something is undermined, but whether what is undermined is intrinsically worthy or unworthy. And the next is Western import. Western import, a second criticism is that secularism is linked to Christianity, that it is Western and therefore unsuited to Indian conditions. On the surface, this is a strange complaint, for there are millions of things in Indian today, from terrorists to the internet and parliamentary democracy, that have their origins in the West. And one response, therefore, could be, so what? Have you heard a European complaint that because zero was invented in India, they will not work with it? And however, this is somewhat shallow response. And the more important and relevant point is that for a state to be truly secular, and the truly secular, it must have ends of its own. Western states became secular when at an important level they challenged the control of established religious authority over social and political life. The Western model of secularism is not, therefore, a product of the Christian world. What of the claim that it is Western? The mutual exclusion of religion and state, which is supposed to be the ideal of Western secularist society, is also not the defining future of all secular states. And these the minorities. This exactly is what has happened in India. India involved a variant of secularism that is not just an implant from the West on Indian soil. The fact is that the secularism has both Western and non Western origins. In the minority, a third accusation against secularism is the charge of minoritarianism. It is true that Indian secularism advocates minority rights. So the question is this justified? Considered four adults in a compartment of a train traveling at the fastest speed imaginable. In the middle of the journey, one of the four passengers expressed a desire to smoke. The second one complained that he cannot bear cigarette smoke. So the interventionist, a fourth criticism, claims that secularism is concept and that is interfere enclave, exclusively with the religious freedom of communities. This misreads Indian secularism. It is true that by rejecting the idea of separation as mutual exclusion, Indian secularism rejects non interference in religion. So, the bank of politics, vote bank of politics, fifth, there is the argument that secularism encourages the politics of vote banks as an empirical claim. This is not entirely false. However, we need to put this issue in perspective. First, in a democracy, politicians are bounded to seek votes. That is part of their job, and that is what democratic politics is largely about. To blame a politician for pursuing a group of people or promising to initiate a policy with the motivation of secure their votes is unfair. And the impossible project, a final clinical criticism might be this secularism cannot work because it tries to do too much to find a solution to an incredible, intractable problem. What is this problem? People with deep religious differences. We never live together in peace. Now, this is an empirical false claim. The history of Indian civilization shows that this kind of living together is reasonable. It was realized elsewhere too. And this is the topic secularism. At the end of this topic, we see some references is there. This references your help in more read to this topic. And the next multiple choice questions. First question is, in a secular state, one religious state do not dash the other, support, discriminate, follows, resist. The answer of this question is discriminate. And the next question, dash are not allowed to celebrate the festivals of any particular reason to promote secularism. Private schools, government schools, madras, pathos, pathlas. The right answer of this question is government schools. And the next question, the tyranny of majority people can result in death of religious minorities, education, discrimination, freedom, biasness. The answer of this question is discrimination. And the next question, the government of India does not support anyone. Democracy, monarchy, religion, and judiciary. The answer of this question is religion. Religion of the right answer of this question. And the next question is, the dash is an example of government office. First is restaurants, police station, housing society, private schools. The right answer of the this question is police stations. Police station is an example of government office. And the next question, in dash, there are upper castes who dominate lower castes. Jainism, Vaishnism, Persist, and Hinduism. The answer is Hinduism is the dominated lower castes. And next question, Indian constitution allows religious minorities to set up their own courts, educational setups, police stations, government schools. The right answer is educational setups. And the next question is, for six, wearing a dash is an important part of religion. So they can avoid helmets, kurta, turban, uniform, shirts. The answer of this question is turban. Turban is an important part of religion, so they can avoid helmet. And the next question is, dash is a republic country, Japan, United Kingdom, United States of America, and China. The answer of this question is United States of America. And the next question, and The last question of this topic, Dash is the main reason of Saudi Arabia. Christianity, Islam, Jewish and Hinduism. What is the answer? The answer of this question is Islam. Islam is the main reason of Saudi Arabia. Islam is the main religion. This is the main religion of Saudi Arabia. Is the Islam is the right answer. This is all about the topic secularism, and the end of this topic. Thank you.